Hey, what's up guys? Nick here. I'm going to teach you a technique today I've really been trying to perfect over the last few years, and I would really say I feel like I'm very close to having it perfected. That's catching cruising bass or catching females you can't see during the spawn from farther back or when it gets dirty. I have a couple of super light line techniques that I figured out catches the females way more often than males, and you can often trigger cruising fish almost 50% of the time. The ones we used to talk about being nearly impossible to catch, I'm going to show you how to do it. It's real tricky, but if you want to take on the challenge, I reward you for doing it, and you're going to get rewarded at the same time. I can promise you that. Now for today's video, I'm using two finesse sticks rods right here. These are 7'6" medium light rods. This is a 1000 series reel. This is a cheap panfish reel. It's from Bass Pro Shops, okay? I have 4-pound copolymer line on right here. The reason why that's critical, the copolymer line, is it floats and it has a fluorocarbon coating which helps make it invisible. This is going to be very critical with the 4-pound that it also has some stretch. I'm using a weightless 6-inch natural looking trick worm on a size 2 mosquito hook. Very tiny, very subtle. The reason for this is this trick worm is going to land on the surface and it's going to not float, but it's going to slowly undulate down. This setup right here is for the fish I see cruising. I physically see fish cruising. I'm looking right at them, and I want to lead them by no less than 10 to 20 feet. If the fish is relatively cruising fast, I want to go for that farther lead, that 20 foot out there. If it's slow cruising, a 10-foot lead is great. You want to make sure you're very subtle on the trolling motor and you're making a far cast. This is really why you need the 1000 series and the 4-pound line. The buoyancy and something about the size 2 hook, that weightless trick worm, and that lighter rod, I can still make about 110, 120 foot casts on this setup right here, which is insanely critical for those spookish cruising fish. Now my next setup is also the finesse stick, but I'm throwing that on a 3000 series reel with 6-pound tactical fluorocarbon line. It's a little bit limper fluorocarbon, better for a spinning rod. I'm also using that on a size 2 hook. Nail weighted trick worm. This is almost going to serve like a Nico rig, not very heavy. It's still going to fall. You're still going to see some action, but it's going to fall a little bit slower. And I have the wiegh guard on here, and you're going to see it's not as natural of a looking worm. It's a darker colored worm. Now this is what we're doing for targeting when we see a female sticking to one spot. If she's sticking to one spot, chances are there's a male up there bedding somewhere. You don't see him, or she's high in the water column, not cruising. You want to lead her by about 10 feet in the direction she's looking. You're going to throw that, you're going to let it fall in front of that fish, and you're going to lightly shake it without retrieving line. Lightly shake. You want to make sure your line's at a nice straight angle. If you're crosswind, either get downwind or get upwind to get a nice straight line angle, and slowly shake it. When you throw it in front of that fish, you're going to generally see her look at it. If she doesn't proceed down, what you want to do is you want to wait a couple of minutes and get that weightless rig at that point and try it. But from my experiences, when those fish are holding still, that nail weighted with that wiegh guard right there is going to drop down near the bed. Now here's what I've really experienced that I believe gets the bigger females to feed more often. That lighter, subtle presentation is not aggressive, and it doesn't seem like it's invading the bed. It gets the female's interest, not the male's interest. The male's usually more about defending the bed when something's roughing it up down there. That subtle, slow fall is oftentimes going to trigger those females to eat, and it's a fantastic way of catching them. All right, guys, so the water temperature is right in the low 60s. I know I'm going to be having bedfish, and I'm going to be having staging fish. So I'm starting with the weightless rig on the 4-pound copolymer line. If you look, it's slick back here. It's a fairly windy day. It's probably about 10 or 11 miles an hour. Okay, I don't want to be out in the rough water. I can, but I'm going to need to stay upwind of my position and try to keep the boat as far away from the fish as possible where I think they're bedding. Now, what I want to do here is I want to look around in the shallows. If I know I've seen staging males in that area, most likely there's going to be staging females. I'm going to throw it out there, my weightless rig, and calculating the depth, I say that's roughly 5 feet. I want to count to 10. If it's 15 feet, I literally want to count to 30, and I'm not going to shake it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to strictly look at my line sitting on the surface to see if anything picks it up. Before I just start reeling in, I want to get to a tight line and slowly lift to feel if the fish has it. If they have it, then I'm going to set that hook. All right, guys, so I kind of zipped up on a bedfish right here. I see a male up here, for example. I could throw something small and weight it up on that bed and easily catch that male. But instead, I'm going to throw that weightless wacky within about 2 or 3 feet of the bed. I don't want to land on it. I want it to slowly fall to see if I see a staging female out there that's willing to move up and eat that trick worm. I do not want the male to defend. I don't want the smaller fish. I want the bigger fish. I seen that bed up there, seen him. I have no idea if there's a female around, but I'm going to throw it up there and give it that solid, he's probably in 3 feet, so give it about a solid 6-second count to see if that fish picks it up. You do want to be careful when these females pick up this subtle presentation. You don't often feel them. You don't often feel the line tick or anything. So after that 6 seconds, I'm going to shake, just see if there's a tight line there. There must not be a female nearby. You could slowly move your worm into a visual range to see if she follows it up. If you do get a follow, definitely give it another cast. But generally, that male's just up there working on the bed. He doesn't have a female yet, or there's one getting ready to come up. As the day progresses in the spring, when you see bedfish, as it gets warmer in the day, that's generally when you're going to see more female bass roaming, and you're going to see those males running out, circling around them, trying to court them into their bed. That's a fantastic time. If you see a smaller male run out and chase something, chances are he was trying to push a female up there. So remember that spot, come there in 5 minutes and throw that weightless rig in that same area. Most likely that fish is cruising and it might be catchable. Clear a little grass off there. So oftentimes, guys, in the spring, when you've just been catching fish in an area, you were throwing like a reaction bait or something like that, and all of a sudden you come a couple days later and you know there was fish moving up there, but you can't get them to bite. Oftentimes they're in a staging funk. They're getting ready to bed, though they're not bedding yet. So they don't want to eat a reaction bait or anything else like that. This is also a fantastic time to throw these two combinations. It's more subtle, therefore if there is an active fish, they're going to eat it either way, but it also tricks staging fish into often striking. I know you're looking at me out here on my private lake, and yes, this is a private lake, and this is where I was able to really evaluate the technique and do it more often since it's in my backyard. But I've been successful with this technique on New Maloney's, Comanche, the California Delta. It literally works everywhere. All right, guys, a little example here. I seen the male on a bed. I threw up there. The male was looking at it. Didn't feel like it was bothering him whatsoever. Female runs over out of nowhere and smokes it. Now, I set this on 4-pound line. Now, literally with these fish, you can lose almost 50% of them because it's a war of nutrition. 4-pound line can break very easy, but that little size 2 hook can also plant. It's a light wire. It can hook them very easily. So if they run you into heavy cover, you just kind of have to hope that they come out. Luckily for me, my lake right here doesn't have a lot of heavy cover, not in this area. We're quite a ways from the boat docks, but this is a good female. The male's now following her off the bank. Now, a lot of the time you're going to go up and you're going to fish for bedfish, and you're going to see that sometimes it's really hard to trigger the female. But literally, if you try this trick when you first see a male, oftentimes when you're intentionally going bed fishing as well, oftentimes you can just catch the female immediately and you're not wasting 30 minutes to 2 hours or however long it takes for the female to come up and defend the bed. Oftentimes the female will still eat where the male won't. So just because they got skinny doesn't mean they were starving themselves. It means they deposited all their eggs. You know, sometimes they'll still strike. The male, he's going to strike out of aggression to get you off the bed, but the female, nah, she'll still get nippy. That's a big one. She might be bigger than I think. And what's more fun than that? Oh yeah, that's a good fish. Well, let's hope we land this one. Even if she does come off, I still got to trick one. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of cruisers right now, but I am doing the trick of looking at the bed and throwing the trick worm to the outside. And you'll clearly see, you'll probably see the male come up with this female. And how could I have individually selected this fish from 50 feet away, you know, when the one defending the bed's the male? So just think about that and let that soak. When I'm landing a fish like this, I like to have about half my rod's length out in line, and I hold the base of the rod and keep my hand off the line. In that case, if the fish wants to surge at the boat, she can, and I'll just tilt the rod towards the fish, so let the drag go like that, just where I'm not shocking that light line. See how I tilt the rod back to it? Because this fish is really still horsing me quite hard. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, she's definitely bigger than I thought she was. Beautiful fish, way back here in the, barely got her. That's why that 4-pound line, whoo, she is a heavy one. Nice big fish. I'm not gonna keep her out of the water very long, but this is a fantastic technique, guys. And if you haven't tried it, it seems kind of obvious, but it's very critical that, you know, you get that light line, that copolymer line that's gonna float. That fluorocarbon is dense for cruisers and it's very subtle. And that faster falling worm is gonna be when that fish is sitting still for you. And you just see her sitting out there. But when you don't see them, that weightless setup is gonna be very, very critical. Hopefully I can get you guys to visualize a cruiser and we can get one to eat on film for you. That'd be great. Thank you.
Hang with us, guys. We'll be right back. Attention Northern California anglers, have you been to Boat Country in Ripon? With one of the largest selections of aluminum boats in the valley, from North River, Hughescraft, and Crestliner, chances are they have the right boat for you. And they also have a full-on service center to take care of all your maintenance or repair needs. If you're a boat owner or just looking to become one, you owe it to yourself to check these guys out. Visit BoatCountryUSA.com or stop on by. We'll see you there.
Absolutely smoked that thing. Look at that Spotopotamus, man.
Big one, real big one.
Yeah, God, choked it, dude, choked it. Look at that. Yeah, I want that headbang. Come on. Hey guys, Nick the Informative Fisherman here, and when it comes to my hooks, I demand superior craftsmanship, innovative design, and proven success. And that's why I've chosen to partner with Mustad Fishing Hooks. With over 180 years in the business, you can't go wrong. So if you don't want to risk losing a big one, I suggest you do the right thing.
Bigger, better, badder. The evolution of the buzzbait is upon us. The Evolution Baits Grass Burner is a high-performance bass snatcher machine. High-end components, inline displacement, larger profile, balanced body for fast or slower retrieves, better deflection, and oversized treble hooks. You wouldn't bring a slingshot to a gunfight, would you? Find out more at evolutionbaits.com.
Real critical factor after catching that fish is that I checked my line for frays. It doesn't look like it was a big fish. I kind of feel something, so I'm going to go ahead and retie. That light of line, a big fish like that, you know, it's got those hard grinders in her mouth. It's going to easily munch up my line. So good idea to always retie if it's something probably even over 3 pounds in regards to fluorocarbon line. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, this is a pumpkin colored trickworm, but the whole goal is to get a lighter looking natural trickworm when it's falling super slow and is staying high in the water column. You don't want them to get a good look at something moving slow. Something they're gonna come up and analyze needs to look as natural as possible. This is why the light line. This is why the visual indicator for that floating line. The light line, the stretch, it's a win-win. You need to try it. Now I want you guys to notice something. There's a flat side on the trickworm. There's the round side and there's the flat side. And you're gonna notice when I do this technique, right in the base of the bend, the hook point's up and the flat side's up. The reason for this is it's going to fall eye side down, hook eye side down, so where the flat surface is now catching more of the water resistance. You're gonna get more natural undulating motion, and I love to use the word undulate because Cooch taught me that, rest in peace, brother. But that flat side catches that water, it slows that worm down even more, and makes it look really lifelike as it falls in that position there. If I was to flip it over and the rounded side was to face us, we'd probably get a little bit faster of a fall, I would imagine, than that flat surface, less water resistance, you know? All right, guys, another little tip. Oh, did my line just jump? Oh, I thought I had a fish on. Another little tip for you. When you're pulling around boat docks and stuff, bass love to naturally, you guys probably already know this already, they'll spawn up against hard structure or hard cover. But one thing you need to keep an eye on is the female's gonna generally hang out in the nearest heavier cover or structure or biggest shade line over deeper water. So for example here, if there's a bedding male up here, the female's most likely gonna be next to the shade line on this boat over the deeper portion of the water. So my first shot, instead of near the bed, should be out over the deeper shade line or the deeper structure and cover within about 10 to 15 feet of that bed. So that's gonna be my first cast out here to take a shot at a female that's bedding up there. The bed for the male is up there against the post, but most likely the female is right there if she was gonna be there. My next cast is gonna be up in that same sort of zone, but not on the bed. It's gonna be a little tighter in as if she was gonna cruise, because a lot of times these females cruise around the bed. They'll be doing laps. You'll see them taking big laps. So I'm gonna start from the point that's deepest or heaviest and moving closer and closer to the bed when I'm coming up on an obvious target like this here. So if you guys look, this is actually a smaller female. Look at every one of these pilings coming down on this dock right here. This is a big dock. Chances are they're gonna be bedding up against one of those 4 pilings. So on the 4th one, of course, not any of the first 3, I happen to hook into a smaller female, which might be around my trolling motor. No, she's out. No panic. 4-pound line. Ain't nothing you're gonna do anyways. Let's see. She was up there next to that post. She is the smaller female, but once again, I seen the male run out with this fish. If this was a heavier setup and got to the bed faster, the male would have bit it. The slower setup got the female. So I'm gonna see if she has any marks, because this was probably right near the bed. She might have signs of a bedding fish. The other one didn't have any marks on her yet. She was staging, getting ready to bed, even though the male followed out. So let's see. Hey, right in the face. Wow. Now you can see they clearly want that bait when it's back that far in the chompers. I'm gonna have to get the needle nose out to get that. But you can see right here, see the wear? She's starting to get some rash on her tail. That is definitely a female, just a smaller one. There would be beat up rash marks around the lip if that was the male. So I definitely got us another female, just smaller. But still, what I was looking for. So now that we came around the corner, guys, you're gonna see we're facing a little headwind here. You're gonna see the ripple coming at me. And when you're fishing a technique that requires you to be very patient, it's very easily to get flustered and lose your cool and start fishing too fast or uncomfortable, or this can often push a big bow in your line and you're not gonna feel that fish strike, and it's just gonna become frustrating. So instead of me continuously working up the bank in this position with a headwind, I'm either gonna come around and we're gonna fish with it, and I'm gonna get tighter to the shoreline and kind of try to get some good boat control, or I'm gonna search for protected water. And the good thing is, when the spawn's generally happening or close to happening, the fish are moving into more protected water in less windy areas anyways. So picking up and making that move to a calmer zone this time of year can be a good thing. In the summertime, you should be kicking yourself if you move to a calmer area, because chances are they're on those wind-blown banks, but not for this. I need that worm. No. This fish shook off my last pumpkin colored worm. Oh, which means it's gonna be much tougher to get the females to bite on the slow fall, but hopefully they'll eat the darker color. I'll dig through my box and see if I can find another light colored one. That's what I get for not going to the tackle shop and getting more of my favorite color. Boo. Did he miss it? Okay. I see the smaller male. He's running out. So here's an example. I'm casting up there. I see the male running out, and trust me, he's not intimidated by my trick worm by any means. We're 30 feet off of this fish. He's running out here, so he might very well be trying to court a female up. So I'm gonna hang here. I'm gonna give it about 5 minutes just to see what happens, to see if he can pull a female up. And if he does pull a female up and she sits there, I'm gonna throw in front of it once again with this here, but if I start seeing her cruise, I'm gonna switch over to the weightless rig and give that a shot. And believe it or not, you will literally catch 50% of them. Another good one. I threw up off the corner of the dock. I couldn't see if there was any, whee! I couldn't see if there was any bed up there. I was assuming there was a bed. So I fanned the worm about 4 feet out. And just like that, got us another female. And I'll tell you what, I can go around here with a crankbait, swim jigs, and a variety of stuff, swim baits. Not my other brown worm. I just went into my shop and took it off an old shaky head. Oh, brutal. This fish was enjoying going aerial for a while there. Okay, I don't think it's done yet, but we're getting a little closer to the boat, so I'm gonna go 1 click off, 2 clicks off, make sure that drag comes off relatively easy. Woo! Did I whack the dog?
No, I missed it.
Taking line. Still taking line. But you could have seen if I would have held right there, if I would have held the line right there, if that fish would have ran, I would have been in trouble. There we go. Right back in the back roof of the mouth again. My goodness. All right, guys, I seen this female sitting right off the side of a bed by about 8 feet. She wasn't roaming, she was just sitting there. So I grabbed the, oh, she's out there. Oh, good one. So I grabbed the 6-pound setup with the fluorocarbon and that weighted worm and threw it out about 3 feet in front of her, and it just slowly drops down a little bit faster. When they're by the bed, that's critical. Uh-oh, she's in Steve's catfish line. Real good fish. Oh, wow. Wow, wow. Jeez, come on, baby. There we go, she's free. Oh, yeah. That's what I have those setups for, guys. Big old monsters like that. She was sitting, calm down, Bailey, I'll let you lick. Here, go ahead, get one lick. All right, there you go. She was sitting right off the bed, and I seen her there, and the reason why I throw that sinking setup, when they're stationary, there's just some reason, big one. There's just for some darn reason, these fish don't like to really go for the weightless when they're sitting off the bed, if you can see them. If you can see them and they're stationary, there's something about that nail-weighted trickworm that drops down slightly faster, where the fluorocarbon works better when it drops down, that just gets them. It's really strange, don't ask me exactly why. I think it maybe just triggers them, just a slightly difference in speed, but if it falls super fast, they just never grab it. But I mean, let's take a look at her here. Beautiful fish. All right, let's let her go. Nose down, princess. Thank you. Woohoo! Yeah, buddy. I think I actually caught my second male of the day. Now I'm curious when I'm catching these males to see if they're pre-spawners or to see if they're bedders. The other little one that took my last worm earlier, he was definitely pre-spawning. He showed no signs of bedding. He wasn't even doing the little squirt yet. So I'm curious when it comes to this one. I want to analyze this fish. It's really important in the spring too, and I'm going to show you a couple things to look for. You guys may already know, but I'm going to go over it anyways. Maybe. Okay, back roof of the tongue. So here we go. This is a longer fish, okay? The dorsal fin and the pectoral fins match up. Northern strain, largemouth. No wounds on the tail. No wounds on the mouth. Not bloated. So what that's telling me is this is a pre-spawn male. Even though it's fairly long, it could be a pre-spawn female, but it doesn't have any bloat around the belly. Usually they'll be much more bloated in the belly portion this time of year if they're female. All that is a pre-spawn male. There's no wounds on his mouth. He's still thinner. There's no wounds on the tail to tell me that it's a female. So either way, good fish, fun fish. All right, guys, looks like I got another little pre-spawn buck. I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Got a short day here, but we had about a 5-pounder earlier before we started shooting this film. So we ended up with right around 20, 21 pounds or so. And it's great not being able to visualize a bed, but you know, still being able to come out and catch fish, and where you can loosely see that the beds are, just fanning it over there and using this trick to catch some good females, and had some great action for a few hours. So if you get the opportunity, here babe, go out to your local lakes. If you see the fish roaming around, I didn't get to see a lot of roamers today. Seen them a couple days ago, but if you see the roamers, lead them. If you see those big females sitting outside the bed, do that little nail weighted trick and drop it down there, and you guys will be absolutely amazed at how many big fish you'll catch doing it. Remember guys, make sure to follow me on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Feels real solid. We'll see. Oh boy, okay, he's bigger than I thought, okay. I thought a couple pounds, but now I'm thinking maybe closer to 4. Up in there shallows. Look at that, running up into the shallows. Look at my trick worm. Oh, that's amazing. Look at, he's running across the top. This is incredible. He's up in a foot of water. Here he goes, up to the shoreline. Look at this. See my trick worm over there? Look, he's gonna go in the bushes. I hope I land this one. Well, I thought we were going in. Horse. I must have it in the corner of the mouth or something. When they get them in the upper lip or near the nose, you can wear them out a little bit quicker, but it depends on where they get it. That's a good fish. Oh, wore out bucket mouth. Okay. Yeah, okay. 4 something. Undersold that one. Oh, let's take a look at this fish. Boom. Good, and look at the tail. Yep, she was definitely on a bed. Up there, look how red her tail is. Did a lot of work. Thank you, princess. Yeah, beauty. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Go ahead, get back, do your thing.